Last Saturday, a buddy of mine texted me a photo of his pool. It looked like someone had dumped a gallon of milk into it. He had been fighting it for 3 days. Dumped in shock. Ran the filter non-stop. Poured in a whole bottle of Clarifier. Nothing. I drove over, spent about 40 minutes and $4 worth of a product you can buy at any garden center. And by the time we cracked open a couple of beers on his patio, you could see every tile on the bottom. He looked at the water, looked at me, and said, "Why doesn't anyone talk about this?" Good question. Because what I used wasn't some miracle chemical from a pool store. It's the exact same process that every municipal water treatment plant in the country uses to make your tap water crystal clear. They've been doing it for over 100 years, and almost no pool store will recommend it because it costs a fraction of the products they're trying to sell you off the shelf. Today, I'm going to show you the full method, step by step, so you can fix a cloudy pool in about an hour of actual hands-on work. And stick around, because at the end, I'll show you the 1-minute filter trick that keeps the water from clouding up again for the rest of the season. Now, before I get into the fix, let me be honest with you. I spent the better part of a decade doing this the wrong way. Every time my pool went cloudy, I did what every pool owner does. I drove to the pool store. I bought whatever bottle the guy behind the counter pointed at. I dumped it in and waited. Sometimes it worked in 3 days. Sometimes it didn't work at all, and I'd go back and buy something else. I probably spent $200 a summer on products that were treating the symptom while completely ignoring the underlying problem. And the worst part is, I thought I was doing it right. I thought cloudy water was just something that happened, and you threw chemicals at it until it went away. If that sounds familiar, you are exactly where I was. And what I'm about to show you is going to change the way you think about your pool. So let's talk about why your pool is cloudy in the first place, because most pool owners get this completely wrong. And it's the reason they stay stuck in a cycle of throwing money at chemicals that don't solve the problem. Here's what's actually happening. Your pool water is full of particles. Tiny, microscopic particles. Dead algae cells, dust, pollen, sunscreen residue, body oils, and fine mineral deposits that precipitate out of solution when your pH drifts too high. These particles are insanely small. We're talking 1 to 5 microns, about 50 times thinner than a human hair. And here's the part nobody tells you. Your pool filter, even a good one, can't catch them. A standard sand filter catches particles down to about 20 microns. A cartridge filter gets down to about 10. Even a DE filter, which is the gold standard of residential pool filtration, only reliably catches down to about 3 to 5 microns. So those ultra-fine particles just pass right through the filter media, get pumped back into the pool through the return jets, and keep floating around in suspension. That's why you can run your pump for 48 hours straight, and the water still looks like dishwater. The filter literally cannot do its job because the particles are too small to grab. It's not broken. It's not dirty. It's just not designed to catch things that small. Now here's where it gets interesting. The reason those particles stay suspended isn't just their size. It's physics. Every one of those microscopic particles carries a negative electrical charge on its surface. And because they all carry the same charge, they repel each other, like trying to push two magnets together on the same pole. They can't clump together. They can't settle to the bottom. They just bounce around in the water column indefinitely, scattering light in every direction. That's what cloudiness actually is. It's not dirt. It's not algae necessarily. It's a suspension of negatively charged particles that are too small to filter and too electrically repulsive to each other to settle out on their own. Once I understood that, everything clicked. Now, before we continue, if you're tired of dumping money at the pool store and still fighting cloudy water, I wrote a 39-page playbook called Jimmy's Pool Playbook, From Cloudy to Crystal Clear. It covers the grocery store method that replaces expensive pool chemicals with bleach, baking soda, and borax, the full slam process for green pools, a printable weekly routine, and the only 5 numbers you actually need to test for. I went from spending $600 a season to under $150, and my water has never looked better. It's linked below this video. Alright, let's keep going. This is the problem that the pool industry solves with Clarifiers. You know the little blue bottle at the pool store for $15 that says clears cloudy water in 24 to 48 hours? Here's what it does. A clarifier is a very mild coagulant. It adds a slight positive charge to the water that helps those particles clump together just enough to get big enough for your filter to catch them. That's it. And it works. Eventually. Over about 2 to 3 days, with the filter running 24 hours a day. For mild haze after a rain or a heavy swim weekend, a clarifier is perfectly fine. But if your pool looks like a cloud, if you can't see the bottom in the shallow end, a clarifier is like bringing a squirt gun to a house fire. Here's what the water treatment industry uses instead. It's called a flocculant, specifically aluminum sulfate, commonly known as alum. And here's the part that blew me away when I first learned this. Ancient Egyptians were using alum to clear water thousands of years ago. There are hieroglyphics describing the use of what they called aluminum earth for water purification. By the 1500s, it was in widespread use across England for treating municipal water supplies. And every single water treatment plant in the country still uses it today. When you turn on your kitchen faucet and the water comes out crystal clear, that's because it went through a coagulation and flocculation process at the treatment facility before it ever reached your house. Same exact chemistry, same exact principle, and you can run it in your pool in a single afternoon for $4. Here's how it works at the molecular level. When you dissolve aluminum sulfate in water, it releases positively charged aluminum ions. Those positive ions rush toward the negatively charged suspended particles and neutralize their surface charge. Once the charge is gone, the particles stop repelling each other. And once they stop repelling, they start sticking. They form what's called floc, which are large, heavy, visible clumps. And because they're heavy, they don't float. They sink straight to the bottom. The entire water column above them clears up, often within a couple of hours. You end up with a layer of ugly sediment on the pool floor and gin-clear water on top. Then you vacuum the sediment out to waste, and you're done. It's that simple, and it's that effective. Now let me walk you through exactly how to do this step by step, because the process matters. If you skip a step or do them out of order, you'll either waste the product or gum up your filter, and that turns a $4 fix into a $400 problem. Step 1. Test your water and balance your pH. This is non-negotiable. Flocculant works best when pH is between 7.0 and 7.4. If your pH is sitting up at 7.8 or 8.0, which is extremely common when pool water goes cloudy, the floc won't form properly and you'll wonder why it didn't work. Use muriatic acid or dry acid to bring it down into range. Check your alkalinity too. Aim for 80 to 120 parts per million. This takes about 10 minutes. Step 2. Raise your water level. You're going to lose a noticeable amount of water during the vacuuming stage because you'll be sending it straight to waste, not recirculating it back through the filter. Top the pool off to the highest safe level before you start, so your skimmer doesn't suck air and your pump doesn't run dry. Step 3. Dilute and distribute the flocculant. Follow the dosage on the label, typically around 4 to 8 ounces per 10,000 gallons, depending on the severity. Mix it in a 5-gallon bucket of pool water first, then pour it slowly around the entire perimeter of the pool. Don't just dump it in one spot. You want even distribution. And don't overdose. The dosage thinking more is better. Overdosing can actually reverse the charge on the particles, restabilizing them and making the whole problem worse. Step 4. Set your filter valve to recirculate and run the pump for 2 hours. This distributes the flocculant evenly throughout the entire pool without pushing it through the filter media. This is critical. You do not want flocculant going through your filter. It will clog sand, cake DE grids, and gum up cartridge elements. Recirculate only. Step 5. After 2 hours, shut the pump off completely. Walk away. The water needs to be perfectly still for the floc to form and settle. Leave it alone for 8 to 12 hours. Overnight is ideal. Do not swim in it. Do not let the kids jump in. Do not run any pumps, cleaners, or water features. Let gravity do the work. Step 6. The next morning, you'll see it. A clear layer of water sitting on top and a nasty blanket of gray-white sediment covering the pool floor. That's everything that was making your water cloudy, now sitting in one place where you can remove it. Set your multi-port valve to waste, hook up your manual vacuum, and slowly vacuum the entire floor. Go slow. If you rush and stir up the sediment, it'll resuspend into the water column and you're back to square one. Send everything straight out through the waistline, bypassing the filter completely. Step 7. Once you've vacuumed it all out, top the pool back up with fresh water, rebalance your chemistry, run the filter on its normal cycle, and stand back. You'll be looking at water so clear it almost doesn't look real. Now, one important note. This method requires a multi-port valve with a waste setting. That means sand filters and DE filters. If you have a cartridge filter system without a waste line, flocculant is not your move. Stick with a quality clarifier, run the filter around the clock, clean the cartridge every 12 hours, and give it the 48 to 72 hours it needs. Do not try to shortcut it with floc, or you will destroy the cartridge. Let me walk you through the 4 biggest mistakes I see pool owners make, because these are the habits that keep the water cloudy week after week and turn a simple fix into a season-long headache. The first mistake is shocking a cloudy pool without knowing why it's cloudy. Shock is designed to kill bacteria, destroy chloramines, and oxidize organic contaminants. It's excellent at that job. But if your water is cloudy because of mineral precipitation from high calcium hardness or elevated pH, shock does absolutely nothing for that. You're burning $20 on a chemical that's fighting the wrong battle entirely. The second mistake is only running the pump 4 to 6 hours a day. Your entire pool volume needs to turn over through the filter at least once every 8 to 12 hours for the system to keep up with particle loading. In peak summer with heavy bather load and high temperatures, you might need even more. A pump that runs half the day filters half the water. Simple math, cloudy results. The third mistake is ignoring your filter media. A dirty, clogged filter is like trying to breathe through a wet pillow. It can't move water efficiently, it can't catch particles, and every chemical you add is fighting against a circulation system that's already compromised. Backwash your sand or DE filter every 2 to 4 weeks. Clean your cartridge filter monthly, or more often during heavy use. It takes 15 minutes, and it is the single highest impact thing you can do for water. Clarity between chemical treatments. The fourth mistake is chasing chlorine levels without fixing pH first. When your pH drifts above 7.6, chlorine loses nearly half its sanitizing power. So you add more chlorine to compensate. But that extra chlorine drives the pH up even further, which makes the chlorine even weaker, which makes you add more. It's a death spiral that eats your chemical budget and never fixes the water. Bring the pH down first. Always. Then address your sanitizer levels. The chlorine you already have in the water will start working dramatically harder once the pH is in range. Alright, here's the filter trick I promised you at the beginning. This is what keeps the water from clouding up again after you've cleared it. Once your pool is back to crystal clear, add a maintenance dose of liquid clarifier, just a capful per 10,000 gallons, once a week as part of your regular routine. What this does is pre-clump any microscopic particles before they accumulate enough to cause visible cloudiness. Your filter catches those slightly larger clumps during normal daily operation, and the water stays polished all season long without any drama. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't wait until you have a cavity to start. A tiny amount of prevention. Every single week beats an emergency fix every month. So there it is. A cloudy pool fixed in 1 hour of hands-on work and about $4 worth of a product that municipal water plants have trusted for over a century. No $50 bottles of Miracle Cure from the pool store. No 3-day waiting game with a clarifier that might not even work on heavy cloudiness. Just simple water chemistry that works the same way today as it did when the Egyptians figured it out thousands of years ago. If you've been fighting cloudy water and nothing seems to stick, try this. Drop a comment and tell me how it goes. I'll see you in the next one.